We're kind of really excited because this is a whole new world and a whole new area to play. So as you tune in, if you could do us a huge favor, because we are massively blessed in the fact that we have people all around the US as well as different countries tuning in here for this little either live or replay. So whenever you tune in, just tell us where you're coming in from. So that way we can like put a little, we got a contest of who's going to be watching where and where are they going to be watching when.
The big question that I have is, at what point did the video start?
Right.
Because on my software it says we've been live for 36 seconds, and on Facebook it says we've been live for a minute and a half.
Well, so, there could be a chance that you guys get the behind the scenes with Big Red SEO, right? It's not always a bad thing. But hey, like to get back into our agenda today, we're talking about image optimization. So my name is Kim Tracy. This is Conor Tracy. If you are tuning in for the first time, we own Big Red SEO. We're a husband and wife team with a unique dynamic duo, right? So he is the guy that does all the research and kind of goes in and destroys things to make it better or builds really cool things to make every process in every business grow, right? I'm more of the creative element side of it, as well as the strategist behind how do you get your business off the ground and keep it going with clarity, as well as how do you focus on those marketing tasks to get your golden clients in the door? So not necessarily marketing to everybody and anybody. We really focus on SEO and paid per click on who are those dream clients, who are those ideal clients that you wish you could have multiple more. And if you just had a fraction of them, you would be a happy, happy camper, right? Mm-hmm. So as you guys know with websites, there's multiple different things. Our key today is to not make you super overwhelmed. And instead, Conor, let's dive in real quick. What is image optimization and Conor's version of image optimization?
Conor's version of image optimization without getting completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the reduction in size of your images. So your images have to be fast on the website, but there's a game you have to play, and it's just like in everything we do with SEO. You know, in SEO, you want content on a page, but if you do just content, users get bored. Well, web search engines want your website to be fast, but if you make your images really small and fast, generally they're blurry, and therefore your users get bored and they leave your website. So a blurry image, some people will forgive it, but depending on the industry, if you're selling products that are highly detailed, they want to see all of that. If you're a photographer, you want to show your best possible image and not a blurry image.
Correct.
Our website, for example, we can probably get away with blurry images.
Don't judge us. Don't judge us, guys. Like, there are some blurry images. Mainly because we're doing A/B testing, right? So that's the fun part behind all of it is when we come with advice for you guys, we've done this for businesses as well as ourselves, and we're testing it, right? I will say back whenever I very first started in web design with you, Conor, you actually taught me a lot, even though I learned some of it in school, totally lost it for years. But what I can tell you is that it was really popular to have like thumbnail size images, and then they would be 150 pixels by 150 pixels to throw out some numbers, or 300 pixels by 300 pixels, right? But the thing is like people would take images from their photographers, which would typically be 6,000 pixels by 10,000 pixels or something like that, and then put it into a space of 150 and 150. And as you guys can imagine, that image, that huge image, has to load completely in order to show up in the other area. So when we're talking about image optimization, it's kind of one of those things that people either get it or they don't get it, and it's still happening even today. Right. A lot of the tools that make everything quick and easy, like social media, you share an image, you don't see that the software in the background is actually what optimizes your images down so it doesn't bulk up Facebook. But Facebook does have specific dimensions in images that it says, hey, if you stay within this, you don't have to worry about anything being over optimized or looking fuzzy or cut off, if that makes sense.
And there's a couple different parts to the optimization. Yeah. So it's not just the file size to be small. The dimensions, as you were talking about, the dimensions of the image should be optimized. So if you have, let's say, the entire page, and then this little section down here is the image, then you don't want to upload that giant image that's going to automatically shrink down. You want to upload just that let's say it's 300 by 200 pixels, that's what needs to get uploaded.
Right.
So you do have to optimize for the actual size that's being presented, and then the file size is your other part. That's the part that's going to make your website run fast.
Right, right. So you guys have probably come across a website that was like, it just loads really slow. So we always enjoy loading websites for the first time, and we do the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and we're usually like, the company is not going to get very many ideal leads, conversions, clients, abandoned carts probably through the roof. One of the things that we're really, really good at is looking at the data and the analytics and kind of figuring out the psychological aspects of what's going on inside the back end of the website. And in most cases, the number one reason why sites load slow is because the images are not optimized. So again, it's about resizing the image to fit the specific area of the site, right? It's also about like squishing down the file size without losing the high quality. Like we did have a question from one of our fans that we'll address towards the end of this weekly recap. But there's some areas of you don't want to lose the quality of your images, and believe it or not, you don't have to. And here's the reality, guys, like we always, like Conor and I always come from web design with the SEO as the forefront. We started as an SEO company and found that there was some designers in the design play world that would just throw shit in and say that they did SEO, but they didn't do these basic practices, right? We're like, well, this doesn't really make sense. And we actually slip and fell into web design, right? Like it was like not one of the, we wanted to be the analytics and go and help people grow. And then people were knocking on our door saying, I need you to do this because I need you to know that, I need to know that it can be done right, right? I need to know that it can be done really well.
And back in the early 90s, I had a web design company that I closed. I ran it, everything was great. I closed that to focus on web hosting, and then of course once we started getting to SEO, the next thing we know we're back into web design. So,
and by closed he means he sold it for a really great number, and then eventually it did close. So,
that's on the hosting. The web design one,
right.
I just closed that.
So okay, so guys, like say that you're into the, you now know what image optimization is, right? So bring it back to scale. It is very common for people to just take pictures with their cell phones, which is cool. We know it happens. Give love to the photographers and utilize them when you need them, right? But then you take pictures with your cell phones and then you just go and try to upload them to your website. So my cell phone is a Samsung Note 8, right? So by minimum, my cell phone will take an image of 6,000 pixels by 6,000 to 8,000 pixels, right? If I take and I try to load that into my homepage slider, my website is going to load super slow, right? Take that, and a slider it's an image at the beginning on your homepage that rotates. In typical best practices, we recommend no more than 3 images rotating at once. One is because your end users are going to get decision fatigue. It's like, what are you trying to tell them? You're trying to tell them all the things that you do. Keep it down to 3. And if you can get really, really sweet spot, don't even do a slider, just do one main image, right? But like say my cell phone just takes that. So if I naturally default upload that, that's going to automatically create a low a long loading speed, if that makes sense. The other aspect of it too is in the behavior, what can happen is if somebody goes to a website and it loads slow, they'll click out and they won't come back. Like you might think that they might come back. Guys, they're not going to come back. In most cases, you can tell it through the data. Yeah,
for the most part, people are going to bail. And it's even worse on cell phones, you know, because, again, people don't optimize for the smaller phone screen sizes. But, yeah, if you upload just your raw data, I mean, unless you're a designer or you have a plugin in the site that automatically compresses or automatically crunches the images, generally it's going to be overkill. Now, we use plugins, and I'm actually going to talk about a couple of them here in just a second.
Of course, because we're all about like education and providing. First off, thanks, Susan, for tuning in. Everybody else that's watching or live or replay, thanks for coming in.
John is in there too.
Really quick, like, here's the deal is I've actually been in line at a grocery store where somebody's trying to load a website or read an article or buy something, and literally the amount of times that I hear, I ain't got time for that, and they hit the back button and go somewhere else. It is, like, by far, like, it's just become a thing. Like, you're standing in line, you pull out your phone, and you're like, oh, I'll do these other things while I'm standing in line versus actually just standing in line, right? But it like, here's the reality is end users won't come back to your site. They'll actually automatically, by you having a slow website, you're actually leading them to your competitors, right? Especially if your competitor has a faster load speed. And that's not to be like dim and grim, but here's the deal. If somebody's looking for a solution to a problem, they're going to go to the fastest place that they possibly can. And believe it or not, you can actually get your website down to whether it's like less than 15 seconds. It's ideal if it gets under 3 minutes. That's the benchmark. Depending on your, or 3 seconds. Yes. He's like, hold on.
Crap. 15 minutes on the website load. I'm like,
15 seconds.
We can do that.
3 minutes. I must have been thinking about me eating my food. So, but the whole point is like, you can get away with like probably 3 seconds. You get into 5 seconds, people are going to get irritated. Now, if you have fans that follow you, they'll be a little bit more patient with it, right? So they will come back. They'll stumble through. I'm telling you time and time again, guys, if you have a shopping cart and you're selling a product, speed has to be the top area. So look at your product images. Do you need 7 product images, or can you articulate what your product is in 3 or less, right? And optimize them.
Right. And when you're looking at e-commerce websites, you go to the homepage of a site and they'll have 30 images all there.
Yeah.
But the person's actually looking for a specific one or a particular category.
Yeah.
Loading up all those 30, especially on a homepage, you've dragged down the entire site.
Right.
So that homepage has to be clean, crisp, and clear.
Right.
Speeds or the entire size of the website should be less than 1 meg on the homepage. That gets you a pretty good speed. If you can get down to 500 kilobytes, it's even better. Yeah. You don't need to have tons of images, a big background image, a big banner, your logo, your footer images, your social media icon images, and all those different things. They all contribute to slowing down the website. So your website has to be fast. So I want to jump into this here, if that's good with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So one of the tools we use just for testing how fast a website is, it's called Pingdom. So you can go to tools.pingdom.com or just go to Pingdom. In here, you can enter in your website and it'll tell you how fast your website is or how slow the website is, right? And using that, you're then able to find out what images are slowing down the website, what ones you need to concentrate on first, and reduce those sizes. So there's a couple different tools that we use ourselves as we go through websites, right?
Yeah.
So one of the ones, so if you don't have Photoshop yourself, one of the tools that we use is called PhotoP. And if you go to photop.com online, it basically acts just like WordPress. And in here you can upload a PSD file from your developer or designer. You can resize your images and then use the file export and all that kind of fun stuff. So resize your images first. That's your first thing, is to resize the images to the correct dimensions that you want, and then from there you can reduce the sizes. So when you export out of here, generally it's going to be a little bit bigger than what you want. So there's 2 tools that we use to reduce sizes even further. One is called Tiny PNG, and they also make Tiny JPG. And
y'all, I use this tool every single day. I would say a minimum of 10 to maybe 12 times. I'm not even gonna lie. I use this tool on every single client site. Like if I do a blog article and I'm creating a customized image, I use that tool. It is a really fast, great tool.
Yeah, you like it. It's fine. I do like it. I have other tools that I use. One that I live on a regular basis is called ShortPixel. These guys here. Now the thing with these guys, and I'm going to go that extra step. There's an interact feature. Here you go. So you can upload an image and then you can see what it's looked like. On the right hand side is the ShortPixel, that's the compressed version, and on the left side is the original version. It's very hard to see a difference. But basically when you upload a file, you're then able to do a side-by-side adjustment and see which one is better than the other.
Right.
There's definitely different size compressions, different files to use. You got JPEG and GIF, and TIFF files are in there, the PNGs. And then there's a new format that came out a couple years ago. It's made by Google. It's called...
Did Connor's age just catch up? Do you guys ever experience that where you're like, yeah, I got this thing? It's like...
I couldn't remember if it's WebP or WebP, but it's WebP.
Are you sure about that? That doesn't sound very Do you guys see how red he is? He's so embarrassed right now.
All right, I'm loading up a different browser now.
He didn't catch it in his brain. He's super embarrassed. Oh.
Of course it is. Holy crap, did I just close our Facebook? No, I didn't. All right, we're still good.
Very first Facebook Live, and we totally delete it.
Just kill it. Great. Yeah. While we're doing that, there you go. There's things to click on. There's Facebook, Big Red SEO, Twitter, and YouTube. But no, so the WebP format, basically what this does, it'll take a JPEG and drop that down by a further 80%. So even after using those tools that Kim uses, like the tiny JPG and the tiny PNG, you can reduce that even further. It does do transparency. It does all that kind of fun stuff. And it's used on most of the browsers. Now, of course, Apple have not put it into their Safari browser. The other browsers all have it, Opera and Chrome and Internet Explorer, but Apple hasn't done that yet.
Right.
And until they do, it won't be fully accepted across the board. So there's a video I'll do this weekend. It'll be online.
Y'all, he's stepping up and he's doing videos.
I am. I'm doing lots of videos.
He'll put it down in the link, guys. I'm super excited he's doing the videos.
So go to youtube.com/Big Red SEO. On there, subscribe to the channel. And basically when I launch that, it'll be there. If you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll get that video before everybody else. Yeah. So there's another reason to subscribe to the newsletter. A little bit
of a benefit, because then you're going to ask a question and he'll come back and answer it in a blog article. So we're kind of like creating multiple different layers of things. But definitely subscribe to the YouTube.
So one of the things with the images you can do, it's called fallback. So you can compress your images for WebP and then have a fallback for JPEG. So if somebody doesn't have the right browser, then they get that fallback size. Yeah. And that's also what happens then with mobile phones. You can compress those sizes there. And then we had a question earlier. Regarding...
So really quickly, Susan, so glad that this is helping you. Thank you for putting some feedback in there. It kind of helps us whenever we're creating this.
Yes, thank you.
As well as Marcia, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so dive into her question that she's got, because she's an awesome person that you need to make sure you take care of. That was the threat. That was the wife threat.
That's no dinner for me unless I'm nice. No, so one of the questions that Marcia had asked us was with regards to Retina images on a website, and how do you deal with that? So the Retina Displays is Retina?
Really quickly, we're going to get a little technical. It looks like we're going a little dark too.
Well, it's the brightness outside or your light or something. Cool. So, but basically it's used on Macs almost exclusively. It is being used now on like the larger monitors, the 4Ks and the 8Ks. If anybody has an 8K, good for you. But essentially what it does, when most people have built images, they use 72 DPI or PPI. And when you do a search online, I know.
That's what I think. I'm like, pew pew.
This is going to get over technical, so anyway, I'll cover it further over the weekend. But basically, the number of dots per inch or the number of pixels per inch is what we deal with on the web, is the number of pixels per inch. Yeah. And the standard has always been 72 PPI. And that basically allows you to have a clean image on there that everybody can see, right? When Apple came along with their Retina displays, essentially those 72s, I got bright again.
Yeah, carry on.
Those 72s make an image look blurry. So what you have to do is increase the number of pixels within an image. Yeah. And of course, as you go through all of that, the browsers ignore the number of pixels or the DPI and PPI. So the way to resolve that is doubling or tripling the size of your image, the number of pixels, and then using the screen set essentially in code is what's going to allow those images to show on a Retina device and regular images to show on non-Retina devices. Cool. So that is the over technical explanation. I'll explain that in regular terms over the weekend. But essentially, you need to double up the size of your images in order for it to show on a Retina device. And there's a couple of tricks and methods to that, and I'll go into detail on that later.
Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and he'll get you access to it first, so that way if you have more questions, then he can kind of like tackle those in addition, right? We find that with one question, it actually helps multiple other people, so thank you so much for submitting that. We love the feedback. Okay, so really quickly to bring it all the way back in, right, guys? Because here's the deal, is you can have all this information, but if you don't have a game plan or you don't have a strategy, it's kind of just knowledge that's put in your head and you're not really going to take action, right? So what we recommend is right after this video, load the website Pingdom, right? Conor will put the URL after we go offline. He'll put all the URLs in, but load your actual website URL into Pingdom and figure out what is your site speed, right? Then go back through and look at what images actually need to be reduced file size. A little cheat sheet for y'all really quick. If you have an image in your website that is full width, and you have a site that's responsive, which means that on a big monitor, it's going to go big, and on a small monitor, it's going to scale down. You actually don't want any images wider than 1920 pixels. So like that's a good area to start if it's full width. If it's not full width, which means it has white colors on the side, left and right, it would be 1500 pixels wide. At no point in your website should you ever have an image that's any wider than 1500. Unless it's the full width, which is 1920, right? So that's good scale areas to kind of pay attention to. If you have an image that's like within your website that's like half and half, so it would be classified technical term 50-50, right about 600 pixels width is the ideal area. So these are like best practices that we've been able to snap together as a puzzle, right? So just kind of like skim through your website, figure out, okay, I need to resize this image. You're probably going to want to download the image, utilize the other tools that Conor has. PhotoP is a great like free tool. It doesn't take a lot to edit if you don't have Photoshop. If you do have Photoshop, go that route. You can actually do a bulk download, bulk edit, right? But the point is that you need to get the images sized down and then put them into the optimization tool. So like it could be the tiny PNG, or it was what's the other one?
ShortPixel.
ShortPixel, like you want to optimize it, so squish it down, but then also go back through when you do all these three processes and test to make sure that your images are not fuzzy, because you can over optimize. We know this because you've got me who has strong attention to detail, and you've got Conor who's like, I just got a task, I got to get it done. I got a task, I got to get it done.
Why is this image 300 kilobytes and it should be 70?
Well, I'll come back. Well, here's the other thing is I'll come back and sometimes he over optimizes an image to the point where it's fuzzy. Yeah. He can't see it, but my hawk eye, I can actually see it. So we scale the optimization back, right? That it is moldable. You can do that. A couple different techniques. So if you have current images in your website that need to be optimized, tackle those. But here's the most important, which we hope that you guys take value from today. Create a practice that when you add new images into your website, you utilize these tools right out the gate. Make it part of your protocol. Do a checklist to be like, test site speed. Okay, go resize image. Here's my dimensions that I need maximum. Go and optimize the image. Awesome. Put them into a file. You can actually tuck all of your site images into like a Dropbox folder or something like that, where it's already optimized. And then you can reuse those in social media, if that makes sense. So again, it's about creating those tasks where it's part of your natural DNA whenever you're doing it. And really quickly, a bonus, it's actually recommended to change and update your images pretty often. Like in most case scenarios, at least once a quarter. That's like the bare minimum. But any of the images that you utilize within your website, guys, you guys can use those in your social media posts. You can use them in your Google My Business area. Like, don't be afraid to use your images. And in certain areas, you're going to want to put your logo on it for copyright reasons, and then go through and do the rest of the SEO tasks for all images.
So an extra bonus.
Because we just love giving.
So, I mean, you've been here for almost a half hour listening to us talk about images. Yeah. So you deserve more stuff, all right?
Yeah.
So the extra bonus, especially when it comes to SEO. So Kim was talking about changing out your images.
Yeah.
A massive bonus that's currently being tested and currently used by Google is the images, if they are yours versus if they are a stock image. You'll actually get more bonus points in SEO if it's your own custom image.
It is, yeah.
So take your own images, lighten the backgrounds.
I can already feel like people are like, I don't have time to do that.
I know.
Find a way to make time. Start small, guys. Like, we get it. We understand it. Even if it's a stock image per se, find a way to add your own creative elements into it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that even gets a little bit more weight than just a stock image that 400 million other companies use.
Or hire a graphic designer to get this done for you. Yep. But it is critical. It is the face of your image. Don't put up a dark image that you took in at nighttime for the front of the house and you're showing off plants. That doesn't work. Yeah. But get your own images on there. Google, I know.
It's good to like.
I just went right in for one.
You guys felt that? Okay, cool.
So there you go. That's all I got. So that's your bonus SEO.
So what you want to do is get people to stay and stick into your website, which means it has to load fast right out the gate, right? If you don't have images that are optimized in your website, is very slow in loading, and you have a shopping cart, you're going to experience what they classify as pogo stick. Either the person's going to bounce into your website and then bounce out completely, or they'll bounce in your website, go to 1 or 2 product pages to figure out, is it me? Is it my cell phone service? Mm-hmm. And then they're going to leave and they're not going to come back, right?
Or bounce between pages.
Yeah, so just figure out whatever game plan you need if you to optimize the images. If you need assistance, send us a message. We can either help from a consulting level, right? We're really fast at doing this and getting it cleaned up. And or we can provide some guidance and break down a game system strategy for you so you can do that. But in either case, if you want some shits and giggles and fun and you want to know what it really truly feels like to go on a website that is not optimized at all, you can actually load the movie Zootopia and look for the DMV scene. It's actually the rabbit walks in and needs an authorization stamp on her file document, and a sloth character is actually working the counter. I'm going to put the link down below because it is by far hilarious. This is what your end users feel like when you don't optimize your images in a website. It's like the bunny is like, can you just hurry up and do the stamp? And the sloth is like, I gotta go and do the stamp. So anyway, some humor for you on Friday to close up. This is the end of our weekly recap. Thank you everybody for joining live. Hey Casey, how are you? And thank you everybody for tuning in for a replay. Like our YouTube, subscribe. We've got some more details coming down the pipeline. But in the meantime, guys. Yep. Go to YouTube. Do the subscribe to the newsletter also. Yeah. And have a fantastic weekend. And if this was of any value, let us know. Yep. All right. Toodles, guys. See you later. Guys. Have a great day now. Thank you.